Hello! I'm Elaine, and I'm a tour guide in the French Quarter. I do ghost tours. And I am not going to tell you the stories that I tell on my tour, because you gotta pay for those. But if you want to hear some interesting things that have happened to me while I'm leading random drunk people around the French Quarter, I got you. So sometimes you have a tour that everything's just subtly weird. Like nothing you can really put your finger on and like write in the reports that night going, this is what was weird about the night. It's just everything is just a hair different than it should be. Like you're meeting with your guests, waiting for everybody else to arrive and standing there chatting with them, and a random homeless guy comes up and interrupts you to be like, hey, are you waiting for a tour? And when you're like, yeah, he's like, okay, if you're still waiting, I guess I'll be your guide. And when you're like, no, sweetie, I'm the guide. Like, clearly, I have a badge on. I'm facing everybody else. I'm talking about the city. I'm the guide. And he's like, oh, well, are you sure you don't want me? And it's like, no, obviously, they've paid for me. Shoo. And then you finally get started, and a few seconds later, a car drives through the pedestrian-only part of Jackson Square and reaches the end of that segment, realizes there's nowhere you can escape from that, and has to pull a Yui in the middle of all of the tarot card readers. And then you make it to heading to the next stop, and oh look, there's a girl taking a selfie with a pile of dog shit. And then you walk a little bit further along, and there's a girl with a chicken on her head. And a bit further on, at the Joan of Arc statue, there's a car on the median where it really is not supposed to be, and like 15 people taking pictures of it, so you know it was not there on purpose. And then you get to the next stop and you hear the subtle sounds of fighting in the distance, and you're trying your best to focus, and you just quietly hear someone shout something like, you're a chipper octopus. And okay, and then you're moving on to the next location, and a guy who is so high that he can't stand up straight is just walking down the middle of the street, giggling like an evil clown, and he comes up and asks you for $2, and you're like, sweetie, we're in the middle of a tour. He just stands there staring at you for like 2 minutes while snickering and giggling like a creepy clown, until finally you're just like, dude, you have to leave. And he makes it like 2 cars down before he face plants onto the road, and you're like, do I have to go check on him? And then he rolls away. And then like you're heading down the next stretch, and there's a girl on the back of a motorcycle who you can hear that she's screaming, and you're wondering what she's shouting. And you focus in for a minute and realize that what she's shouting is vroom, 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 basically making motorcycle noises at the top of her lungs. And you know, it's weird, but you keep moving, and then you're around the corner, and the guy who does karaoke is singing songs from like horror movies, and you're like, okay, that one's a bit weird. And you go a bit further along, and there's a guy that stops his car to yell at your tour, and you're trying to ignore him, but then he shouts, hey, y'all want to make $100? And of course no one responds, because that's a stupid question to respond to. But then he's like, oh, it's nothing creepy. I just need someone to film for my family YouTube channel. And you're like thinking, what the hell are you going to do on a family YouTube channel that will earn you $100? But you don't respond because you're still not stupid. And then you're walking further along, and you're at your last stop, and there's just a guy who is stopping to dance with you in the middle of the road, even though you're not dancing with him. And everything's just a bit weird. And you're beginning to wonder, like, am I losing my mind? Is this weird? Because none of the guests are looking like it's weird. They're looking like it's pretty normal. And it's not. But maybe it is, and I've just forgotten what normal is because I work in the French Quarter. And then someone's asking you questions about things like, why is there a Hallmark banner hanging off of that building? And why is that like light pole draped in Mardi Gras beads? And why is that particular light pole bent in half? And you're just like, it just is. It's okay. This is the French Quarter. Everything's just subtly weird here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and feel free to share your own experiences in the comments below.